The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the small human delegation as their shuttle approached the colossal orbital station. It was a structure so massive that it blocked out the stars behind it, its surface glinting with alien metals and glowing energy conduits. This was the first time humanity had been invited to meet the Galactic Council, an alliance of advanced civilizations that ruled over much of the known universe. For Earth's representatives, this moment was both thrilling and nerve-wracking. Captain Ryan Carter sat silently in his seat, staring out the window at the looming station. His hands gripped the armrests tightly, though he tried not to show his anxiety. Beside him, Ambassador Lisa Monroe reviewed her notes one last time, her calm demeanor masking the tension she felt inside. They were about to step into uncharted territory, representing all of humanity in what could be the most important meeting in history. As the shuttle docked, the airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor bathed in soft blue light. The two humans stepped out cautiously, flanked by a group of soldiers assigned to protect them. On either side of the hallway, towering alien figures stood watching silently. Their forms varied wildly. Some had sleek, insect-like bodies, others were hulking brutes with thick armor plating. But they all shared one thing: cold, calculating eyes that seemed to pierce through the humans' very souls. At the end of the corridor, a massive chamber awaited them. In its center floated a holographic projection of the galaxy, surrounded by representatives of the Council. Each alien leader hovered or stood on floating platforms, exuding an aura of superiority. One figure, taller than the rest, spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "You are late," it said, addressing the humans without even looking at them. Lisa cleared her throat and stepped forward. "We apologize for any inconvenience," she began, her voice steadied despite the weight of the situation. "We come in peace, seeking mutual understanding and cooperation." The tall alien turned slowly, its gaze locking onto Lisa. Its expression, or what passed for an expression, was unreadable. "Peace," it echoed, almost mockingly. "Your kind is young, fragile, and reckless. You have spread across your planet like a disease, consuming resources and waging wars. Why should we trust you?" Ryan clenched his fists but remained silent. He knew better than to speak out of turn here. Lisa, however, kept her composure. "We acknowledge our past mistakes," she replied. "But we have grown. We wish to learn from you, to become part of something greater than ourselves." The council members exchanged glances, or whatever equivalent their species used for communication. After a long pause, the tall alien spoke again. "Very well. But know this: submission is non-negotiable. If you refuse to bow to the will of the council, we will see you as a threat, and threats are eliminated." A chill ran down Ryan's spine. Submission. That wasn't why they had come. Humanity wanted equality, partnership, not servitude. Before Lisa could respond, another council member interjected, its tone harsher than the first. "Enough talk. Prove your worth or leave now." Lisa hesitated, unsure how to proceed. She glanced back at Ryan, who gave her a subtle nod. They hadn't traveled this far just to walk away empty-handed. "We'll prove ourselves," Lisa said firmly. "But we ask for fairness in return." The council members laughed, a sound that sent shivers through the human delegation. Fairness, it seemed, was not a concept they valued. As the meeting ended and the humans returned to their shuttle, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they had walked straight into a trap. Something about the council felt wrong, predatory. Back aboard their ship, he turned to Lisa. "Do you think they'll actually give us a chance?" he asked quietly. Lisa sighed, rubbing her temples. "I don't know. But I do know one thing. We can't let them push us around. If we're going to survive this, we'll need to stay smart and strong." Little did they know, their fears would soon be realized. Far beyond their reach, several human soldiers were already captured, enduring horrors no one could have imagined. The council had made its decision. Humanity was expendable. and Earth would soon learn just how dangerous it was to cross them. The captured soldiers were dragged into a dimly lit chamber aboard the Council's moon base. Their hands were bound tightly behind their backs, and their uniforms were torn and dirty from the rough handling they had endured during transport. Sergeant Alex Grant struggled against his restraints, but it was no use. The alien guards holding him were far stronger than any human. Beside him, Corporal Mia Foster stumbled forward, her face pale and streaked with dirt. Private Daniel Hayes trailed behind, his head bowed, and his breathing shallow. The room they were taken to was cold and sterile, its walls lined with strange equipment that hummed faintly. Bright lights hung overhead, casting harsh shadows across the floor. In the center of the room stood a large machine, its purpose unclear but undeniably menacing. Several Council scientists moved around it, adjusting dials and inputting commands on glowing panels. One of them, a tall, insect-like creature with elongated limbs, turned to examine the humans with a detached curiosity. "You will cooperate," the scientist said in a voice that sounded like static crackling over a radio. When none of the soldiers responded, the alien gestured toward the guards, who immediately stepped forward and forced Alex to his knees. A sharp pain shot through his body as one of the guards pressed a device against his neck. It wasn't enough to kill him, but it left him gasping for air. "What do you want from us?" Mia demanded, her voice trembling but defiant. She glared at the aliens, refusing to show fear despite the terror building inside her. "Data," the scientist replied simply. "Your species is unique. We wish to understand your limits." Alex gritted his teeth, anger burning in his chest. "You think we're just lab rats? You're monsters." The scientist tilted its head, as if considering his words. Then it signaled for the guards to strap Alex onto a metal table nearby. He fought back as hard as he could, but the aliens were too strong. Within moments, he was secured in place, unable to move. Panic surged through him as the machine above him whirred to life, lowering a series of probes toward his skin. Mia watched in horror as the experiments began. The probes pierced Alex's skin, drawing blood and causing him to cry out in pain. The scientists recorded every reaction, their movements methodical and emotionless. Daniel turned away, unable to bear the sight, while tears streamed down Mia's face. She wanted to scream, to fight, but she knew it would only make things worse. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. Time seemed meaningless in the sterile, unchanging room. Each soldier endured their own round of tests, each more brutal than the last. The aliens monitored their vital signs, subjected them to extreme temperatures, and injected them with unknown substances that left their bodies racked with agony. Through it all, the Council showed no mercy, no compassion. To them, humans were nothing more than specimens. Despite the torture, Alex refused to break. Even when his body felt like it might give out, he clung to one thought: survival. If he could endure this, if he could stay alive, there was still hope. Hope that Earth would find them. Hope that someone would come to rescue them. But as the experiments continued, doubt crept in. What if no one was coming? What if Earth didn't even know where they were? The thought was almost too much to bear. Still, Alex held on, drawing strength from the quiet determination in Mia's eyes and the occasional muttered prayers from Daniel. Unbeknownst to them, their plight had not gone unnoticed. Back on Earth, reports of the missing soldiers had reached high command. General Marcus Hale slammed his fist on the table in frustration as he reviewed the scant evidence available. "We can't just sit here and do nothing," he growled. "These are our people. We have to bring them home." Plans were already being made, strategies devised. Humanity may have been small and inexperienced compared to the Galactic Council, but one thing was certain: they wouldn't give up without a fight. Somewhere out there, Alex, Mia, and Daniel were counting on them, and Earth wasn't about to let them down. General Marcus Hale paced back and forth in the command center, his boots echoing on the cold metal floor. The room was alive with activity. Officers speaking into headsets, technicians typing furiously at their stations, and screens flashing with maps and data. But none of it mattered to Hale right now. His mind was focused on one thing: rescuing the captured soldiers. He stopped abruptly and turned to face Lieutenant Olivia Drake and Major Ethan Cole, who stood waiting for his orders. "We can't leave them out there," Hale said firmly, his voice carrying both anger and determination. "They're counting on us. We need a plan." Olivia nodded, her sharp eyes scanning the information displayed on the nearest screen. She had spent years training for situations like this, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of facing an enemy as powerful as the Galactic Council. Still, she refused to let fear take over. "We'll need a small team," she suggested. "Something fast and stealthy. If we go in too big, they'll see us coming." Ethan crossed his arms, his tall frame casting a shadow over the table. "Agreed. But we'll also need firepower. If things go south, and they probably will, we'll need to fight our way out." Hale considered their input carefully before making his decision. "All right. Lieutenant Drake, you'll lead the mission. Pick your best people, but keep it tight. Major Cole, you'll serve as second in command. I want this done cleanly, but if it gets messy, don't hesitate to do whatever it takes." With the order given, Olivia immediately began assembling the team. She chose 6 highly skilled operatives, each bringing something unique to the mission. There was Corporal Sam Rivera, an expert in explosives; Private Laura Bennett, a tech specialist who could hack almost anything; and Sergeant Jake Miller, whose marksmanship was unmatched. Together, they'd formed a group capable of handling even the most dangerous situations. The operation was codenamed Operation Redemption, a fitting title for a mission meant to bring justice to those who had been wronged. Before leaving, Olivia gathered the team in a briefing room to go over the details. A holographic map of the Council's moon base hovered above the table, showing its layout and key locations. Olivia pointed to various sections of the map as she spoke. "Our intel suggests the prisoners are being held here," she said, indicating a heavily guarded area deep within the facility. "We'll enter through this access point, disable any security systems we encounter, and move quickly to extract them. Once we have them, we'll use these tunnels to escape." Jake raised a hand. "What about reinforcements? What happens if the Council sends more troops after us?" "We're not planning on sticking around long enough for that to happen," Olivia replied. "But just in case, we've got allies waiting nearby. The Vayrani have agreed to provide cloaked shuttles for extraction. They'll stay hidden until we signal them." Ethan stepped forward, his tone serious. "This isn't going to be easy. The Council won't make it simple for us. But remember why we're doing this. Those soldiers deserve to come home." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed his words. For a moment, all that could be heard was the faint hum of machinery in the background. Then Sam spoke up, breaking the tension. "Let's get to work then. We've got lives to save." Preparations moved swiftly after that. Weapons were checked, gear was packed, and final checks were made on the cloaked shuttles provided by the Vayrani. As the team suited up, Olivia took a moment to look at each member. She saw determination in their eyes, a shared resolve to succeed no matter the cost. It gave her hope. When everything was ready, the team boarded the shuttles and launched into space. The journey to the Council's moon base was tense, with everyone knowing what lay ahead. But there was no turning back now. Earth had sent its best, and failure wasn't an option. Somewhere in that cold, alien facility, Alex, Mia, and Daniel were waiting. For rescue, for justice, for proof that humanity wouldn't abandon its own. As the shuttles approached their destination, cloaked and undetected, Olivia whispered to herself, "Hold on. We're coming." The cloaked shuttles descended silently toward the Council's moon base, their advanced technology masking them from detection. The surface of the moon was barren and dark, with jagged rocks jutting out like broken teeth against the blackness of space. Lieutenant Olivia Drake peered out of the shuttle's viewport, her sharp eyes scanning for any signs of movement. So far, everything seemed quiet. "Approaching landing zone," whispered Corporal Sam Rivera from the pilot's seat. His hands moved deftly over the controls, ensuring the shuttle touched down without a sound. Behind him, the rest of the team prepared their gear, double-checking weapons and strapping on helmets equipped with night vision. Everyone knew this mission would be dangerous, but they also knew failure wasn't an option. Once the shuttle landed, the team disembarked quickly, their boots crunching softly against the rocky terrain. Olivia signaled for silence as she led the way toward the facility's outer perimeter. The massive structure loomed ahead, its metallic walls gleaming faintly under distant starlight. Security drones patrolled the area, their glowing red sensors sweeping back and forth. Olivia motioned for Private Laura Bennett to step forward. Laura crouched behind a large boulder, pulling out a small device from her pack. Her fingers flew across its screen as she hacked into the facility's security network. Within moments, the drones froze in place, temporarily disabled. "We've got about 10 minutes before they reboot," Laura whispered urgently. "Let's move." The team sprinted toward the entrance, staying low to avoid detection. At the door, Major Ethan Cole took point, using a plasma cutter to slice through the reinforced lock. Sparks flew, but the noise was minimal compared to the hum of machinery inside. Once the door slid open, the team slipped into the dimly lit corridor beyond. Inside, the air was cool and stale, carrying a faint metallic smell. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. Olivia consulted her wrist-mounted map, guiding the group deeper into the labyrinthine facility. Every corner they turned brought new challenges: patrolling guards, surveillance cameras, and locked doors. But the team worked together seamlessly, overcoming each obstacle with precision. As they moved closer to the detention area where the prisoners were believed to be held, Alex Grant's voice echoed faintly in Olivia's mind. She didn't know him personally, but she carried his face in her thoughts, the determined look captured in his personnel file photo. He and the others had endured unimaginable horrors at the hands of the Council. Bringing them home safe was more than just a mission. It was a promise. Suddenly, Sergeant Jake Miller raised a fist, signaling the team to stop. Ahead, 2 alien guards stood outside a heavy door, their weapons slung lazily across their shoulders. They hadn't noticed the intruders yet. Ethan nodded to Jake, who lined up a perfect shot. With a soft whir, his silenced rifle fired twice, and the guards collapsed silently to the ground. Olivia stepped forward cautiously, gesturing for Laura to hack the door's control panel. As the door slid open, the team braced themselves for what lay beyond. What they found made Olivia's heart sink. Inside the room were rows of containment cells, each holding human prisoners. Some sat huddled in corners, their faces gaunt and hollow. Others stared blankly, their spirits broken by days, or weeks, of torture. But then one figure stood up slowly, his body battered but his eyes blazing with defiance. It was Alex Grant. "You came," he said hoarsely, gripping the bars of his cell. His voice was weak, but there was no mistaking the gratitude in his tone. "We're getting you out of here," Olivia replied firmly. Laura quickly set to work overriding the locks, freeing Alex and the others. Maya Foster and Daniel Hayes emerged next, leaning on each other for support. Both looked frail, but determination burned in their eyes. Ethan handed them basic weapons. "Can you fight?" he asked bluntly. Alex nodded grimly. "Just tell us where to aim." With the rescued soldiers now part of the team, Olivia led the way deeper into the facility. Their escape route would take them through heavily guarded areas, but retreat wasn't an option. The Veyrani shuttles were waiting nearby, ready to whisk them away. But first, they needed to survive long enough to reach them. As they crept through another corridor, Alex leaned close to Olivia. "There's something you need to see," he murmured. "They've been building things. Hybrids. They plan to use them against Earth." Olivia frowned, her stomach tightening. Whatever the Council had planned, time was running out. not just for the rescue team, but for humanity itself. Alex Grant's warning sent a chill through the group as they moved cautiously through the facility. Olivia Drake signaled for everyone to stop and turn to face him. "What do you mean by hybrids?" she asked, keeping her voice low. Alex hesitated, his battered face grim. "They're combining human DNA with alien biology," he explained. "I saw it myself in one of their labs. They're creating soldiers, stronger, faster, smarter, and they're planning to use them against Earth." Olivia exchanged a worried glance with Major Ethan Cole. If what Alex said was true, this mission had just become even more critical. Not only did they need to rescue the prisoners, but they also had to destroy whatever the Council was building before it could be unleashed on humanity. "We'll deal with that after we get out of here," Ethan said firmly. "For now, focus on staying alive." The team pressed forward, navigating through narrow corridors lined with alien machinery. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. The hum of distant activity hinted at the presence of Council enforcers nearby. Laura Bennett led the way, using her tech skills to disable security systems and clear paths ahead. Her fingers danced across her handheld device, shutting down cameras and rerouting power grids. As they approached a large chamber, Alex stopped suddenly. "This is it," he whispered. "The main lab. That's where they keep the prototypes." Olivia nodded, understanding the importance of what lay ahead. "We plant explosives here," she said. "If we can't stop the hybrids directly, we'll make sure they don't finish what they started." Sam Rivera stepped up, pulling out small charges from his pack. "Leave it to me," he said confidently. "I'll rig this place to blow." While Sam worked, Mia Foster and Daniel Hayes stayed close to Alex, their weakened bodies struggling to keep up. Despite their condition, they insisted on helping however they could. Mia pointed out key areas based on her memory of the facility, while Daniel kept watch, alert for any approaching threats. Suddenly, an alarm blared overhead, piercing the silence. Red lights flashed along the walls, bathing the corridor in an ominous glow. "They know we're here," Jake Miller shouted, raising his rifle. Without hesitation, the team sprang into action. Jake fired precise shots at incoming guards, taking them down before they could sound the alarm further. Ethan barked orders, directing everyone to defensive positions. The rescued soldiers, though inexperienced with weapons, fought alongside the team, driven by sheer willpower. Amid the chaos, Sam finished setting the charges. "Done," he yelled over the noise. "We've got 5 minutes until detonation." "Fall back," Olivia commanded, leading the retreat. The team sprinted down the corridor, dodging blasts from enemy weapons. Behind them, the facility began to shake as explosions erupted in controlled bursts, collapsing sections of the lab and destroying vital equipment. As they neared the exit, Alex spotted something, or someone, that made his blood run cold. A Council scientist stood frozen in fear near a terminal, clutching the data crystal. "Wait," Alex called out, breaking away from the group. He grabbed the scientist by the arm. "Who are you? What do you know?" The alien trembled, its wide eyes darting around frantically. I helped design the hybrids," it stammered. "But I didn't agree with this. Please, let me go, and I'll give you everything." Olivia appeared beside Alex, her weapon trained on the scientist. "Why should we trust you?" she demanded. "Because without me, your people won't survive." The scientist shot back. "The Council plans to deploy these hybrids soon. You need my knowledge to stop them." Ethan joined them, glancing at the countdown timer on Sam's wrist. "We don't have time for this," he growled. Alex looked at Olivia, pleading silently. Finally, she relented. "Fine. But if you betray us, you're dead." She gestured for the scientist to follow. With seconds to spare, the team burst out of the facility and into the open air. The shuttles waited nearby, engines idling. As they climbed aboard, the ground shook violently behind them, the final explosion tearing through the base in a fiery inferno. Once inside the shuttle, Alex leaned back against the wall, exhausted but alive. For the first time in days, he allowed himself a faint smile. They had escaped. But as the scientists sat quietly among them, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that their fight was far from over. The shuttle soared away from the moon base, its engines roaring as it pushed farther into space. Flames and smoke billowed behind them, lighting up the dark void where the Council's facility had once stood. The team sat in silence, catching their breath after the chaotic escape. Some leaned against the walls, clutching their weapons tightly, while others tended to minor injuries sustained during the fight. Despite the exhaustion etched on every face, there was a shared sense of relief. They had made it out alive. Lieutenant Olivia Drake was the first to break the quiet. She turned to Alex Grant, who was sitting across from her, his body still tense despite their success. "You saved us back there," she said, nodding toward the alien scientist now seated at the far end of the shuttle. "Do you really think he's telling the truth?" Alex hesitated before answering. His hands clenched into fists as he thought about everything he'd endured in that facility. "I don't trust him," he admitted, "but we can't ignore what he knows. If he's lying, we'll deal with him later. But if he's not, we might need him." Major Ethan Cole stepped closer, his towering frame casting a shadow over the group. "We're taking a big risk bringing him aboard," he said, glancing at the scientist warily. "If the Council finds out, they'll come after us even harder." Olivia nodded, understanding the weight of Ethan's words. "We don't have a choice," she replied firmly. "He has information we need. For now, he's useful. Once we get back to Earth, we'll decide what to do with him." As the shuttle continued its journey, Private Laura Bennett worked quickly to secure the data crystal the scientist had handed over. Her fingers moved deftly across her tablet, decrypting files and scanning through pages of alien text. "This is bad," she muttered under her breath, her brow furrowing deeper with each passing second. "Really bad." "What is it?" Jake Miller asked, leaning forward. His sharp eyes narrowed as he waited for her response. Laura looked up, her expression grim. "It's worse than we thought. The Council isn't just building hybrids. They've already started deploying them. There are reports of prototype units being sent to other colonies. They're testing them out there." A heavy silence fell over the shuttle. The implications were clear. Humanity wasn't the only target. The Council's plans extended far beyond Earth, threatening countless civilizations across the galaxy. Ethan let out a low growl, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "So we destroyed one lab, but the problem is still out there. What's stopping them from building more?" "They won't stop," Alex said quietly, his voice tinged with bitterness. "Not unless someone makes them." Olivia placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "That's why we'll keep fighting. This isn't over yet. We've dealt them a blow today, and we'll hit them again. And again. Until they realize humanity won't back down." The shuttle finally reached the rendezvous point, where the cloaked Vayrani vessels awaited. As the two ships docked, the team prepared to transfer the rescued soldiers and the scientist onto the larger vessel. Before stepping aboard, Alex took one last look at the burning wreckage of the moon base in the distance. It was a small victory, but it gave him hope. A reminder that even the most powerful enemies could be challenged. Once aboard the Vayrani ship, the atmosphere shifted slightly. The alien crew welcomed the humans warmly, offering medical care and supplies. For the first time in days, Mia Foster and Daniel Hayes allowed themselves to relax, their bodies sinking into soft seats as medics treated their wounds. Even Alex managed a faint smile as he watched his comrades begin to heal. But the moment of calm was short-lived. General Marcus Hale's voice crackled over the comm system, demanding an update on the mission. Olivia stepped aside to brief him, her tone urgent as she relayed the details of their discovery. When she finished, Hale's response came through loud and clear. "Earth needs to prepare. If the Council is willing to go this far, we can expect retaliation, and soon." As the Vayrani ship charted a course back to Earth, The weight of the situation settled heavily on everyone's shoulders. They had escaped, but the battle was far from over. The Council would not forgive this act of defiance, and when they struck back, humanity would need to be ready. For now, though, the survivors allowed themselves a moment of quiet reflection. They had faced unimaginable horrors and emerged stronger because of it. Whatever came next, they knew one thing for certain: humanity would never surrender. The Vayrani ship touched down on Earth, landing at a secure military base surrounded by dense forests and guarded by heavily armed soldiers. The moment the hatch opened, the rescued team stepped out into the bright sunlight, their faces pale but determined. Alex Grant shielded his eyes from the glare, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin for the first time in what felt like an eternity. It was a small comfort after everything they had endured, but it reminded him of home, of why they had fought so hard to survive. General Marcus Hale was waiting for them, his expression stern but relieved. He greeted Olivia Drake and Ethan Cole with a firm handshake before turning to Alex and the others. "Welcome back," he said, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "You've done your planet proud." Alex nodded, though his mind was still clouded with memories of the Council's facility. He wanted to feel joy, to celebrate their return, but the weight of what they had uncovered pressed heavily on him. The hybrids, the experiments, the Council's plans, it was all too much to ignore. Humanity wasn't safe yet. Inside the base, the team gathered in a briefing room, where screens displayed maps, data, and images recovered from the alien scientist's crystal. Laura Bennett stood at the front, explaining her findings to General Hale and the rest of the group. "The Council has already deployed prototype hybrids to several colonies across the galaxy," she said, pointing to red markers on a star map. "These units are stronger and faster than anything we've seen before. If they're fully operational, we're looking at a serious threat, not just to us, but to everyone." Hale leaned forward, his jaw tightening. "How long do we have?" he asked bluntly. Laura hesitated. "It's hard to say. The files suggest they're testing the hybrids now. Once they're satisfied, they'll launch a full-scale invasion. That could be weeks or days." The room fell silent as the reality sank in. They had barely escaped destruction once. Now they would need to prepare for war. Hale turned to Olivia and Ethan. "We need to act fast. Start fortifying our defenses and rally every ally we can find. If the Council is willing to attack other civilizations, we might be able to turn this to our advantage." Olivia nodded. "I'll contact the Vayrani and any other sympathetic factions. If we expose the Council's actions, we might gain more support." Ethan added, "And we'll train harder. Every soldier needs to be ready. This isn't going to be easy." As plans were made, President Laura Bennett addressed the United Nations in an emergency session broadcast, live across the globe and beyond. Flanked by military advisors, she stood tall behind a podium, her voice calm but resolute. "Today, humanity stands united not just for ourselves, but for all oppressed species in the galaxy," she began. "The Galactic Council has shown its true nature: cruelty, greed, and tyranny. Their crimes against my people, and countless others, cannot go unanswered." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "To the Council, I say this: you have underestimated us. To those who suffer under your rule, I say this: run. Run to freedom, run to allies, run to fight another day. Together, we will rise against oppression. And together, we will win." Her speech sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Alien species who had lived in fear of the Council began to question their loyalty. Some defected openly, seeking refuge on Earth or joining forces with rebel factions. Others covertly reached out, offering intelligence or resources. For the first time in centuries, the Council's grip on the galaxy began to weaken. Back at the base, Alex watched the broadcast on a monitor, his heart swelling with pride. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. They had allies, fighters, and believers standing alongside them. But he also knew the road ahead would be brutal. The Council wouldn't surrender without a fight, and when they retaliated, it would be with overwhelming force. As night fell, Alex stepped outside, staring up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was planning its next move, but here on Earth, humanity was preparing for theirs. For better or worse, the battle lines had been drawn. And Alex knew one thing for certain. When the time came, humanity would stand strong. The days that followed President Bennett's speech were a blur of activity. Earth transformed into a hive of preparation, with every resource redirected toward defense and survival. Factories once used to produce cars and electronics now churned out weapons, ships, and armor. Engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering alien technology provided by the Verani and other allies. The skies above military bases buzzed with test flights as new fleets of advanced starships took to the air for the first time. Lieutenant Olivia Drake stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, humanity's newly constructed flagship. It was a massive vessel, its sleek design blending human ingenuity with alien advancements. Panels glowed softly along the walls, and crew members moved efficiently between stations, their voices calm but urgent. Olivia watched as technicians ran final system checks, ensuring every weapon, shield, and engine was ready for battle. This ship, and others like it, would be Earth's first line of defense when the Council came knocking. Major Ethan Cole spent his time training soldiers, pushing them harder than ever before. On a vast training field surrounded by dense forests, recruits lined up in formation, their faces streaked with sweat and dirt. Ethan paced back and forth, shouting commands and demonstrating combat techniques. "They're stronger and faster than us," he reminded them. "But we've got something they don't. Heart. You fight for your family, your friends, your home. Remember that when the time comes." Among the recruits was Alex Grant, who had insisted on returning to active duty despite his injuries. He wasn't fully healed, but sitting idly wasn't an option for him. Every punch he threw, every shot he fired, was fueled by anger and determination. He thought of Mia and Daniel, who were recovering in medical facilities, and vowed to protect them, and everyone else, from the horrors they had endured. Mia Foster, though still weak, refused to stay out of the fight entirely. From her hospital bed, she mentored younger soldiers, sharing insights about the Council's tactics and weaknesses. Her voice carried authority, even if her body couldn't keep up. "They see us as inferior," she told a group of wide-eyed cadets. "Use that against them. Be unpredictable. Strike where they least expect it." Meanwhile, scientists worked tirelessly to analyze the data recovered from the alien scientist. They studied the hybrid designs, searching for vulnerabilities or ways to counteract their abilities. The Council's creations were terrifying, but humanity had always thrived under pressure. With each discovery, hope grew that they could level the playing field. As Earth prepared, news of rebellion spread across the galaxy. Alien species who had long suffered under the Council's rule began rising up, attacking supply lines and sabotaging operations. Some joined Earth's cause directly, sending ships and warriors to bolster the growing alliance. Others offered intelligence, revealing critical details about the Council's plans. Humanity was no longer alone. They were part of something bigger, a united front against tyranny. President Bennett addressed the public regularly, keeping morale high while emphasizing the stakes. "This isn't just about Earth," she said during one broadcast. "It's about freedom. For all of us. We will not bow to fear. We will not surrender to hate. Together, we will show the Council what happens when you underestimate humanity." Despite the progress, tension lingered in the air. Everyone knew the Council wouldn't wait forever. Their retaliation would come swiftly and mercilessly. And when it did, humanity would need to be ready, not just to defend themselves, but to strike back. One evening, Alex climbed to the top of a hill overlooking the base. The horizon glowed orange as the sun dipped below the mountains, casting long shadows across the land. Below him, soldiers drilled, engineers tinkered, and leaders strategized. For the first time since his capture, Alex felt a spark of optimism. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and emerged victorious. This time would be no different. As he gazed at the stars above, Alex whispered to himself, "Come and get us." The attack came without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear and calm. The next, they were filled with the ominous hum of alien engines. The Council's invasion fleet descended like a swarm of locusts, blotting out the sun with their sheer numbers. Massive warships loomed overhead, their sleek designs bristling with weapons. Smaller fighter craft darted between them, preparing to strike at anything that moved. On the bridge of the Eclipse, alarms blared as Lieutenant Olivia Drake gripped the railing, her eyes glued to the screens showing the incoming armada. "They're here," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. "All hands, battle stations." General Marcus Hale stood beside her, his face grim but resolute. "This is it," he muttered. "Time to see if all our prep work pays off." The fleet under Olivia's command scrambled into position, forming a defensive line above Earth's atmosphere. The Eclipse led the charge, its advanced shields shimmering as it took point against the enemy. Behind it, dozens of smaller ships flanked either side, ready to engage. Alien allies from the Vairani and other rebel factions joined the formation, their vessels blending seamlessly with humanity's forces. For once, Earth wasn't fighting alone. The first wave of Council fighters surged forward, unleashing barrages of plasma fire. Explosions lit up space as human and allied ships returned fire, their weapons cutting through the void. Ethan Cole's voice crackled over the comm system, rallying the troops. "Stay sharp. Focus on the bigger ships. They're the real threat." His words echoed across the fleet, keeping everyone focused. Alex Grant sat in the cockpit of a fighter craft, his hands gripping the controls tightly. He had insisted on joining the fight, refusing to sit on the sidelines, while others risked their lives. As his ship zipped through the chaos, dodging enemy fire, he locked onto a Council cruiser and fired a missile. The explosion was small but satisfying, a tiny victory in an overwhelming battle. Back on the Eclipse, Olivia coordinated the fleet's movements, her mind racing as she analyzed the situation. The Council's forces were vast, but humanity's determination was unmatched. Ships worked together in perfect harmony, using hit-and-run tactics to whittle down the enemy's numbers. Rebel fighters dove into the fray, targeting vulnerable spots on the larger warships. Slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. But the Council wasn't done yet. From the heart of their fleet emerged a monstrous vessel, their flagship. It dwarfed everything else in the sky, its surface covered in glowing energy conduits and massive cannons. A deep rumble shook the air as it unleashed a devastating beam, slicing through several human ships in one shot. Screams erupted over the comms as pilots reported casualties. "We can't let that thing keep firing," Olivia shouted. She turned to her crew. "Focus all firepower on their flagship. Divert power from non-essential systems if you have to." The order spread quickly, and the entire fleet adjusted its aim. Every ship poured everything it had into attacking the Council's behemoth. Lasers and missiles streaked toward it, striking its shields again and again. The rebels joined in too, their combined efforts finally breaching the flagship's defenses. With a deafening roar, the ship erupted in flames, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. As the Council's forces faltered, reinforcements arrived, alien defectors who had been waiting on the edges of the conflict. Their sudden appearance threw the Council into disarray, giving humanity the upper hand. Ship after ship fell to the united front, until the invaders had no choice but to retreat. When the last Council vessel disappeared into the depths of space, cheers erupted across the fleet. Humanity had won, for now. But as Alex stared at the wreckage floating around him, he knew this wasn't the end. The Council would return, angrier and more dangerous than ever. Still, for today, they had proven something important. Humanity could fight back. And they wouldn't stop until freedom was secured. for everyone. The aftermath of the battle left Earth's skies littered with debris, twisted metal, shattered ships, and glowing fragments of alien technology drifted silently in orbit. The victory had come at a cost. Many lives were lost, both human and alien, but the survivors clung to hope. The Council's retreat was proof that humanity could stand against even the most powerful enemies. It wasn't just a win for Earth, it was a beacon of hope for every oppressed species across the galaxy. In the days that followed, cleanup crews worked tirelessly to clear the wreckage and recover what they could from the destroyed ships. Engineers scavenged parts to repair damaged vessels and build new ones, ensuring humanity would be ready if the Council returned. Hospitals overflowed with wounded soldiers, their courage unwavering despite their injuries. Among them were Alex Grant, Mia Foster, and Daniel Hayes, who had fought bravely alongside their comrades. Though battered, they were alive and determined to keep fighting. President Laura Bennett addressed the world once more, her voice filled with pride and resolve. Today we prove that no tyrant, no matter how powerful, can crush the spirit of those who believe in freedom, she declared. We have shown the universe that humanity is not afraid to stand up for what is right. Together, we will rebuild, grow stronger, and continue to fight for justice, for ourselves, and for all who yearn to live free. Her words resonated far beyond Earth. Alien civilizations that had once feared the Council now saw humanity as a symbol of resistance. Defectors arrived daily, seeking refuge or offering aid. Some brought stories of rebellion spreading across the galaxy as oppressed species rose up against their Council overlords. Others shared intelligence, revealing weaknesses in the Council's remaining forces. Humanity was no longer an isolated planet. It was the heart of a growing alliance, the Alliance of Free Worlds. General Marcus Hale oversaw the formation of this new coalition, working closely with alien leaders to establish a unified command. This isn't just about defense anymore, he told his advisors. It's about taking the fight to them. If we strike back before they regroup, we might just end this war for good. Lieutenant Olivia Drake and Major Ethan Cole led the planning efforts, devising strategies to target key Council strongholds. With the help of rebel factions, they identified critical locations where the Council manufactured weapons, bred hybrids, and plotted their next moves. One by one, these sites would be dismantled, weakening the Council's grip on the galaxy. Alex spent his recovery time mentoring younger recruits, teaching them everything he had learned during his ordeal. He spoke of resilience, teamwork, and the importance of never giving up, even when the odds seemed impossible. His words inspired a new generation of soldiers, eager to defend their home and join the fight for freedom. Mia and Daniel, though still healing, found purpose in documenting the horrors they had endured. Their testimonies, along with evidence recovered from the Council's labs, were broadcast across the galaxy. The message was clear. The Council's tyranny would not go unanswered. Those who suffered under its rule now had a choice: to rise up and join the fight, or remain silent and face extinction. As weeks turned into months, Earth transformed. Cities repaired their scars, factories hummed with activity, and people looked to the stars with renewed determination. The eclipse remained a symbol of humanity's strength, leading missions to liberate colonies and dismantle Council operations. Slowly but surely, the tide was turning. One evening, Alex stood on a hill overlooking the rebuilt base. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Below him, soldiers trained, engineers built, and leaders strategized. Above, the stars twinkled brightly, reminding him of how far humanity had come. They had faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger because of it. Somewhere out there, the Council was licking its wounds, plotting its revenge. But Alex knew one thing for certain: humanity wouldn't back down. They had proven they could fight, survive, and triumph. And when the Council came again, humanity, and its allies, would be ready. As he gazed at the stars, Alex whispered softly, "Come and try."